So one thing to keep in mind is that whenever we're dealing with any kind of object or Java class, everything is derived from a main Java class called object. And object is defined in the Java lang package, which is automatically included for all Java classes. And if you basically define a class with no extends keyword, it gets automatically derived from the Java object class. So basically everything is derived from object class. The only thing that is not derived from the object class are the data primitives like int, long, and so forth. The primitive versions of those. Because everything is derived from the object class, and the object class contains some methods such as string and equal, that means everything inherits those two methods. And because it has those two methods, every object can have to do the toString or equal operation. Polymorphism is the another more powerful part about the Java language, and that is where you take the parent class of graded activity, and then you can derive or create subclasses from the graded activity, and then the everything that is created or defined from the graded activity, you can have a specialized behavior, but be not really know about it, or maybe not so much be concerned about the activity. I mean, the specialized activity, as long as we know it from the parent level. So here's an example where we took, for example, the graded activity and we created a subclass called final exam. And when we create this final exam, we assign it to the parent class type. And then whenever we execute a function off of graded activity, as long as it is defined at the graded activity level, whether it is specialized or it is defined at the graded activity level, it will execute either the behavior inside of graded activity or the specialized method in final exam. So here's another example of looking at polymorphism. So from the graded activity, we create three different kinds of subclasses. So they each get set into the graded activity data type. And they all want to do, for example, if we execute the set score for every one of these exam one, exam two, or exam three, they will either execute the set score in either the graded activity or the child or subclass activity. Sorry, the subclass, assuming that it gets overridden in the subclass. So at the graded activity level, you can execute these any method that is defined at the graded activity level, but this one would not work because this method is not defined at the graded activity level. And then so the thing that the terminology that is used in Java is about polymorphism or dynamic binding. So when all the objects that are instantiated, they get set into a variable of type of the parent type, parent class type. Um, Java will figure out whether it should execute the parent method or the child method, and it will figure that out at the actual runtime, or what they call dynamic binding or late binding. So it's going to look at the actual object instance type stored inside of this variable, and then it will determine whether there is a method defined at either the sub child class or the parent class. So, so this is another kind of some rules about polymorphism is that you cannot set the use the subclass object and use that to be set into the child object reference. Another important class in Java called abstract class. So abstract class is a different kind of parent class or superclass, but it cannot be instantiated directly, and it must be derived, or you must define a subclass from the abstract class. So the abstract class serves as like a superclass for other kind of classes, but it represents sort of like a template or generic kind of form of the class, but um, it must get subclass or a special, or you must define a subclass from the abstract class. The abstract methods is where within a class, you can have a regular parent class can look like a regular parent class, but if you set some of the methods to be abstract, then the um, the class cannot the class cannot be instantiated. But if you try to actually compile it, it will give you a compile time error. So the child class must implement the abstract method in order for the child class to be created. So here you can see an example where we have a method that might be defined as abstract. And if you try to actually instantiate an object with that of this of from the parent type, it will give you a error. But the subclass or the child class must override this abstract method in order for the subclass to be used. There are things called final class. The final class, it cannot be subclass or cannot be inherited from. Final methods we talked about before. In final method, you cannot override it. So if this method is defined at the parent level, then if there is another child class under my class, then you cannot override this method.